What's up, everybody? John from Old Running Farm here. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, we're going to talk about how Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles tendon and now is out for the season, and the Jets season is over in typical Jets. And I'm very sad. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about that. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to get your husband to start a homestead with you. And I'm just kidding. I mean, not replace husband with partner or whomever. Hey, kitty. Basically, the idea is going to be how to get your partner on board with farming, homesteading, animals, that type of thing. First step, get a little kitty. See this little kitty? This is our vicious barn cat. We were told was a girl. Well, you know, I think they thought it was a girl, but it is not. Ask me how I know. Footballs, get it? Anyway, so there's one very clear answer to this question of how do I get my husband on board with farming? How do I get and I'm just going to use husband as a general term, just because that's how it relates to me. And it's like, you know, how did Catherine get her husband, Catherine's my wife, by the way, how did Catherine get her husband, who was an indoor guy, you know, button-down shirt, khakis, indoor guy, graphic designer, how did she get him to now own 30 alpacas, 4 emus, 200 chickens, and 3 Great Danes? That's a good question. The real answer is, so if you were trying to get your husband on board and he's not doing it, just get a new husband. I mean, that's the easy answer, right? Like, clearly he's not good enough for you, and you need a new one. Just go down to the husband store and pick him up. No, I'm just kidding. Just go down, you know, to the Home Depot, to the lumber aisle, and just wander around for a while. I'm sure you'll find some guy who would be willing to talk to you about what you need to do. Some damp alpacas. So our peacocks are doing pretty well. All right, I didn't even mention the peacocks. So let's see. So that's 30 alpacas, 4 emus, 9 peacocks, and 200 chickens, and 3 Great Danes. Catherine, you and I need to have a very serious discussion about the future of our lives. Just kidding. And also, you know, basically kidding about the husband thing. But, you know, it is an interesting sort of evolution of Catherine and my relationship. You know, I was sort of an indoor guy. And now you could really say that I am an outdoor guy. I am a chainsaw carver, I'm a sawyer, I'm a farmer, all that good stuff. You know, like I said, I think owning and taking care of 30 alpacas does make you an alpaca farmer. Look at all this grass I planted. But anyway, how do you get your partner on board? Well, I think step one in any situation like this is compromise. And that's something that, you know, is the most fair thing that you can possibly ask for. You know, because anything, and this is not me giving relationship advice, this is just me talking. You know, don't take it seriously, or do, you know, whatever. But I can tell you, for me, it was all very small steps. And also, in the beginning, when Catherine and I were first dating, I really wanted to impress her. So she decided to get chickens, and she asked me, and this is a famous line in our relationship, she asked me, how handy are you on a scale from 1 to 10? And I said 7. And that was a lie. I was not a 7 on the handiness scale. I was probably 3.5, maybe. But anyway, so she was building a run, and she needed help. Or she actually didn't need help. She just asked for help. And I think the only thing that I really helped with was digging the holes. Man, that was rough. because she built the run basically all by herself. Never tell Catherine that she can't do something, because she's way more likely to do it. But anyway, so I wanted to impress her, so I helped her out with that. Lied about my handiness scale rating, whereas now, I mean, everything that you see over there was built by me and Catherine and Rick too. So, all right. How do you get your partner on board? Sorry, it's taking me 5 minutes to now get into this. Compromise. Compromise and starting small. So chickens are always the easiest way to get into farming, to get into homesteading, to get into anything like that. They're readily available. You can order them online, have them delivered by the post office, or they actually get sent to the local post office and then you pick them up. But you can order them online and they show up and you're good to go from there. So, the only thing that you'll need is you'll need a place for them to live. You'll need a house for them. We have a lot of houses, and you'll also need a run. Some people decide to free range their chickens. That is not my preference. We've had too much loss of chickens for that to be like really a thing. So I prefer chickens with runs, just because they live longer that way. But anyway, so you start with chickens, and you can just get like 6, and you can say something like, oh, I want this to be something fun, something small, something easy to do. It's like a little hobby, and who can say no to that? Speaking of saying no, being at craft shows and selling like these hats and chainsaw carvings and stuff, I've seen so many husbands say no to wives wanting like a $40 chainsaw carved ghost or a mushroom, and I'm like, you're allowed to say no? What? I know if I ever told Catherine no, like she comes to me and she's like, I would really like to get this $40 chainsaw carved mushroom. And I said, no, what kind of terrible human being would I be? Unless you're in dire financial straits. But then what are you doing at a craft show? Anyway, so you start with chickens, you get like 6 chickens. And one of the things that worked for me was building stuff. So you say, let's build a coop together, which for some people may be a real test to your relationship. Like, who's going to be the foreman, who's going to be the employee, and who's going to run that whole thing. I know Sweet Life of Zach and Christy did a whole video series on them building their first chicken coop together, and they said that they were always fighting and stuff like that. That's not how Catherine and I operate. So we, build stuff all the time, and it's all good. So, I'll leave that to your determination whether you want to actually build it together or just do it on your own. Maybe I'll go check out the alpacas. Maybe I'll go check out the emus. We haven't hung out in the emu pen in a while, so let's go do that. So anyway, start with chickens because they're small and easy to take care of. Feed is relatively inexpensive, and you get a benefit of eggs. So once you get the chickens and once you get the eggs, then maybe you want to look into something like getting an incubator and hatching out your own chickens. And then you get the little chicks. And again, you got to gauge your partner's interest, see what part of the process they might be interested in. And honestly, it may be none, in which case it's going to be a little bit difficult, but hopefully you get at least some support. Like I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook and stuff like that about people who, like, their partner just doesn't support what they want to do at all, and they're like out in the garden by themselves and they're sort of miserable. It's going to be up to you to sort of figure out if that's going to be your partner or not. But I tell you what, for me, we would go to the Big E every year, which is the Eastern States Exposition up in Massachusetts. And we would go and we would look at the farm animals and stuff like that. Just seeing how happy Catherine was with the animals was really nice, and it was something, So hopefully your partner will be able to see how interested you are in something and support you in that. They don't necessarily need to be an enabler like me. Right, guys? Okay. Pecked my shoulder. Running around. I think we're getting to mating season, so there's a little bit of extra tension in the air. So it's like, yeah, how do you go from an office job to this? Anyway, well, they're be nice, everybody. All right, we're gonna leave them alone. Let them run around in peace. Anyway, all right, so we would go to the Eastern States Exposition, the Big E as they call it, and we would have a grand old time looking at stuff. And we were looking at sheep because we thought sheep might be kind of fun. Big E, see all the animals. There's a bug. Oh, geez, I had a mosquito on my forehead that whole time. Zika. Anyway, Big E, see all the animals. I would see how happy she was with those animals. And then we went to go look at like a barn for sheep, and it was going to be super expensive. And this was back in the day, like not even, you know, recent times where a 2x4. Anyway, so we went to get a barn. It was super expensive. And then I was like, I would like to build a barn. And then that's sort of how we got there. Is so my stage in the process was going to be sort of the builder. And then Catherine was going to be sort of the caretaker. So I got to fulfill my desire to build things by building a barn for the alpacas. And honestly, I had to go through the building department in our town, which was a big pain in the neck. But because I had to do that, I had to, you know, follow the code, the building code. And I learned an awful lot about building stuff. And so that was very valuable, and it's carried on through everything that I've done since then. But anyway, I think the key aspects of getting your partner to be on board with your homestead or farming journey is to try to find a way to involve them in it that they will have fun with, and just ask them for their support. And then I think compromise is always important, you know, so like one person's dream may not be the other person's dream, but hopefully they can still support you in it, even if it's just with moral support from the side. So, but yeah, start small. Start with chickens. Chickens are super easy. Hi, kitty. Kitty's back outside. No, back inside. But yeah, so I mean, look at that little guy. What do you think his name should be? Scaredy cat? Come here. Yeah. Right? Vicious killer barn cat. All right, so recap. Start small, find a way to involve them that they are going to enjoy, and just compromise. That's the key. Hopefully that works for you. If you guys have any other tips or tricks, please leave them in the comments down below. If you have any questions or you'd like to know more, send us an email, oldreddingfarm@gmail.com, or you can check our website, oldreddingfarm.com. See you next time.